And we want to talk about the telecom space. Now, yesterday, Vodafone Idea moved up 3.5%, and that up move came in the second half of the trading session. Now, the company has sought an urgent hearing of its curative plea against Supreme Court's 2019 judgment. The company in its plea has cited arithmetic errors and sought a reduction of its AGR dues. We have with us Balaji Subramanian, Vice President at IIFL Securities. Balaji, before we get to the impact on Vodafone Idea, first for our viewers, give us a little bit of a background, a simple background of this curative petition of AGR dues that Vodafone Idea is seeking.
Hi, good morning, Reema. Thanks for having me on the show. So the AGR case runs all the way back till 2005-2006, and the crux of the disagreement between the government and the telecom industry has been, how the adjusted gross revenue is defined. So that dragged on in courts for a long time. And in October 2019, the Supreme Court came out with a verdict which was against the industry, and it asked all players here. One needs to note that Jio, by virtue of being a late entrant in this sector, was not impacted by this legacy case. So this said that Bharti, Vodafone Idea, and even many of the telcos who had stopped their operations, they had to pay a pretty hefty liability to the government, which not only included the actual dues, but also the interest penalty and the interest on penalty. After that, Bharti made an upfront payment of around 18,000 crores. Vodafone Idea made a payment of around 7,800 crores. And at the same time, they also appealed against this verdict. In September 2020, the Supreme Court, again ruled against the telcos, saying that, there would be no relief on this, and, whatever amounts the DOT has demanded cannot be subject to dispute. And it also asked the telcos, at least it gave some leeway in terms of cash flow, where it said that the telcos can make this payment over a 10-year period ending March 2031. There was some cash flow release, but at the same time, about 8% interest was also levied, so that the government did not lose in present value terms. So sometime in late 2021, the telcos considered submitting a curative petition against the September 2020 order, but again the Supreme Court declined to entertain it. Finally, in October 2023, the telcos again made an appeal, especially Vodafone Idea, and this time the Supreme Court had a more favorable bias, and it asked the telcos to submit their curative pleas, which the telcos duly did. But now it has been nearly 9-10 months after that happened, and there has been no clarity in terms of the timeline by which this would be heard. And that is where, Vodafone Idea again went back to the court yesterday and sought urgent hearing, because it would especially add clarity in terms of their debt raising plans, which regarding which, they have been in talks with banks and other financial institutions. So, that is a brief background of where we stand as far as the AGR case is concerned.
Okay, thank you for explaining that so well, Balaji. Just some quick numbers. What are the current AGR dues, assuming the interest on penalty for Airtel and for Vodafone Idea? And secondly, what is the street expecting by way of a relief if it comes through? Say 50% of the dues are waived off. Then how does it impact the stock price? Is it already in the price? What would the target price rise for the two companies?
See, if you look at the public disclosures of Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea, Bharti Airtel has somewhere around 36,000 crores as the AGR dues. This is, including accrued interest, and, this is the full number. after what they have already paid the government in the past, etc. And the corresponding number for Vodafone Idea is around 70,000 crores. Now, I think the way it can pan out is that the Supreme Court allows the government and the telcos to kind of, sit together and resolve any calculation errors. And based on what Vodafone had done and Bharti had also done, it does appear that the relief can be to the tune of 50 to 60%. Of course, these calculations are very complex, going back across multiple years, across many circles, across all circles. But the rough extent of relief could be around 50-60%. So if one were to take a 50% relief as the number here, then we are talking about an NPV relief of nearly 35,000 crores for Vodafone Idea, which would probably equate to a little more than 5 rupees per share. And for Bharti Airtel, we are talking about an 18,000 crore relief, which would work out to roughly around 30 rupees per share. Now, that said, I think some of these are already being factored in by the market, because there have been some hopes of a relief coming on the AGR front. So now it will be very difficult as to how much of this 5 rupees and 30 rupees per share are already factored in. But my sense is that some bit of that is already factored in, while some bit of it can still play out in the market.
So, briefly, Balaji, what is your price target if there is if the relief comes through in this curative petition? Is there upside to your own target? And B, curative petitions are people appeal for them, but they're rarely taken up. So it's now the CGI has taken it up, and we're waiting for the date now. So in that sense, I think it's kind of raised hopes. So that's the way to look at it.
In my base case, I assume a 50% relief. So to that extent, my target price of 19 rupees for Idea and 1,597 for Bharti includes the 50% potential relief. If the relief is higher than that, there can be some upside. As far as the second question is concerned, even though curative pleas are rarely heard, and even more rarely you get a favorable judgment, my sense is that there is still some hope for relief, considering the fact that if you look at the September 2020 order, it also produces the affidavit by the DOT in the Supreme Court, which says that the estimates of DOT are based on preliminary estimates. So to that extent, the word preliminary at least indicates that probably there needs to be some sharpening of the numbers. So I think it does offer some wiggle room. Of course, beyond a point, it becomes difficult to step into the shoes of the court and make such statements. But I think at least that particular clause in the verdict gives us some bit of hope. But we'll have to wait and watch.
Absolutely. I think can't second guess the courts, but that's an important point that you make, and why I think many are hoping that that relief will come through. Balaji, thank you very much for joining us as always on these important issues. Appreciate your time here on CNBC TV 18.